So people were shooting in the air, babies were screaming, women just running around, you know, in burqas. Everyone's fighting, there's like things on fire. It's basically anarchy, right? So it's pretty based.
Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors at Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. A war that has taken over 20 years and billions of pounds of taxpayers' money has resulted in US and British forces fleeing from Afghanistan and the Taliban taking control within 10 days. There was very little resistance to the Taliban's takeover, and this is mainly due to the fact of an increased number of the Afghan army that had billions spent on it to train them for when the Americans leave, actually just left the army and went to join the Taliban. The situation in Afghanistan is very complicated. To even begin to understand it, you have to learn about Sunni and Shias and the main division. The Taliban are a Sunni Muslim sect, and with the divisions in the country, they are most at risk of coming into conflict with the Shia community. Military planes flew away, and footage that I shared on my Instagram as well showed a US military aircraft filled with what The Guardian says was 640 Afghans flying from Kabul to Dubai. And one of the people on this plane was actually a university student from Birmingham. During the chaos at Kabul airport, Miles Routledge, also known as Lord Miles Routledge, is a physics student and he goes to Loughborough University. But he's actually from Sutton Coldfield in Birmingham, and everybody in Birmingham knows Sutton Coldfield is the poshest area in the city and it's very distant from Birmingham. This 22-year-old student actually went to Afghanistan on the basis of being a disaster tourist. He goes around the world witnessing misery and destruction, and he even went to Chernobyl in Russia. He documented his whole journey via a chat room called 4chan online, and he posted pictures of dead bodies that he'd seen on the street and also himself posing with firearms. Shocking scenes from Kabul airport showed thousands of people trying to climb onto planes. At least 2 people actually died falling from the aircraft. The American military also confirmed they found remains in the wheels of the aircraft when it landed in Dubai. There was reports of US military firing onto civilians and into the air to stop them from getting onto the planes. The plane was actually overloaded by 3 times the amount that it should use. Miles told journalists that he believed that the Taliban wouldn't take over for another 90 days, but he found himself caught up in the midst of the takeover. He even purchased a fake American Express card that described him as a lord, so if he got caught by the Taliban, they'd be more likely to ransom him. And he also said that he met the Taliban and he told them that he was from Wales, and a lot of media sources have actually said that he was from Wales, but this isn't true. He's from Birmingham, Sutton Coldfield. He received heavy criticism for telling people that he was going to Afghanistan back in May, when he randomly googled the most dangerous places in the world to visit. When he said he met with the Taliban, he filmed himself holding military weapons as well. And he took a lot of selfies and also photographic evidence of his ticket to confirm his visit to the area. And this is the sad reality of the world we live in today, where some people are trying to get away from horror and some people are going to try to view it for just pure entertainment.
So there's a massive shit left somewhere of the Taliban's going uncover. Oh, it's better. Are you able to get out? We're not too sure yet. Basically, there's Americans, there's Russians, there's basically everyone here. So I'm a physics student at Loughborough University. Best uni out there, excellent people. I'll show you my visa. How about that? Yeah, you guys want to see my visa? Here you guys go. Here you go. Delete browser history. Yeah, I actually did before going. Yeah, so my tour guide. This is a big issue. So my tour guide basically.
He filmed himself on the cargo plane that actually left wearing body armour as well. When there was women on that plane, so he didn't even give up the body armour for another woman. So shamefully, this man is from Birmingham, but his parents contacted the papers and spoke to them and also tried to get help from the embassy when their son, who had voluntarily gone to Afghanistan, had got into trouble. The official human cost for the Afghan war via AP News says that US contractors killed was 3,846 in 20 years. Civilians killed reported are 47,500. Some people wonder why the locals would want the Taliban in control of the country, but of course that is due to there was a lot of alleged war crimes that took place in Afghanistan too, and the locals have never liked the occupation. International criminal courts of appealing have authorised on Thursday the investigation of war crimes by the United States military and intelligence personnel, Afghan forces and the Taliban in Afghanistan in a case that has triggered backlash from Washington. The prosecutors authorised to commence investigation in relation to the alleged crimes committed on the territory from July the 1st, 2002 to the 1st of May 2003. In 2001, the US toppled the Taliban after the group sheltered Osama bin Laden, who was the mastermind of the September 11, 2001 terror attacks. The Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, described the court's decision as a truly heartbreaking action by an uncountable political institution. And this isn't the only country that has had accusations of war crime in Afghanistan during the stay. The Australian Defence Force had sent notices of likely dismissal to 13 Special Forces soldiers following the damning report on the murder of 39 Afghan civilians and prisoners. They are suspected of being accessories or witnesses to the killings or being dishonest in testifying. They are separate from the 19 Special Air Force troops who could face prosecution for murders. Australia's Prime Minister and top military commander has apologised for the conduct of the soldiers.
To the people of Afghanistan, on behalf of the Australian Defence Force, I sincerely and unreservedly apologise.
Afghanistan called the murders unforgivable, but welcomed the report last week to seek justice. So this was dozens of civilians that was killed, as the report found, by Australian soldiers who were working alongside the Americans in Afghanistan. So imagine how terrifying it must have been for the locals to have been getting murdered by people that were allegedly sent there to protect you. There is other accusations by the ICC that the US military had torture detention centres and they would actively take civilians there to try to obtain information. In Britain, the High Court is considering whether the UK failed to properly investigate allegations of unlawful killing by UK Special Forces. On Thursday, the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission called on the UK to open an independent inquiry to review the allegations of unlawful killings by Special Forces. A BBC Panorama programme revealed the UK had failed to fully investigate credible evidence of a pattern of illegal killings carried out by British forces. So that is the examples of war crimes and reasons as to why some people may be happy that the Taliban have taken over. It's not ideal, but to some may be better than the occupation. I thought it would be important to take a varied view of this subject, so I found an article by Edward Snowden on his Substack.com, who is the NSA exposer. He said for nearly 20 years, the war in Afghanistan was launched after the 9/11 attacks. He said the war in Afghanistan was not one of those wars that was justifiable. It was and will forever be wrong, which means leaving Afghanistan was the right decision. He said in 2001 he didn't feel any different and he was 18 years old and almost competitively wrong about everything. I actively believe most of what I heard on TV from official sources. Not everything I heard, he said, was enough. I trusted my government. At least I trusted them to know more about Afghanistan than I did. And the government told me this, that Afghanistan's ruling Taliban were harbouring Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and Al-Qaeda hated the US. He said his righteousness when he was younger was manipulated by collaborations in the media. This is why he said he signed up to the NSA to defeat the enemies of freedom and make them our enemy. He said the motto of the US Army is to free the oppressed, and shamefully it took me a very long time, peering down from my technocratic perch at the CIA and later when he worked for the NSA, to apprehend the nature of his work. He said he was transforming the internet and he was using it as a democratizing tool into an architecture of oppression. He said he struggled to apprehend the nature of violence in Afghanistan and especially Iraq. In the hours following the fall of Afghanistan, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, gave a speech in which Edward Snowden said he tried to defend the honour of the war. This defence is frankly offensive and that Edward Snowden thinks that most of the families that were injured and killed would be offended by it. President Biden then went on to say that they had found Osama bin Laden and he had been brought to justice. And that Edward Snowden goes on to correct him and said he wasn't brought to justice, he was shot and he wasn't even found in Afghanistan. So it's sad to see what has occurred and the amount of money that has been wasted and the amount of lives that have been lost on all sides. Even the soldiers that went there, I've seen them doing interviews today where they've lost their legs for this war and now they're wondering what on earth they even went there for. And to be honest, I don't even have any answers because, as you can see, it is a matter of opinion. It depends where you fall on the political spectrum and also the religious and cultural side of things as well. Afghanistan has resisted invasion for hundreds of years and I believe it will continue to do so in the future as well. So I really appreciate you joining me today and I wish all the best for the people of Afghanistan and hopefully there is a solution for peace in the future. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Peace.
Yet after weeks embedded with the Black Watch, Sean Smith will see no conclusive evidence of Taliban dead. They are an elusive foe.
Within the machine guns, it's like you tend to be like the bad one, you know. You're the destroyer. You're coming to come and smash things up. When I first got to battalion, I got given the jimpy and the light roll, and after being a rifleman for like a year and a half, and I picked this weapon system up and I started firing it, I was just like, yeah, this is a bit of me. The GPMG stands for General Purpose Machine Gun. It sits on top of a tripod. 1 second. Yeah. Boss, is it 1964? Yeah, when it first came into use. It's a 60s gun. And it's not really been changed. It's that effective and it's that useful. It's that easy to use. And it's the earliest weapon system, in my point of view. Hence why I've gone to guns.
It's a really good feeling, firing live and be able to see what devastation you have on the target area, what devastation you have on the target area.